Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm so glad you stopped by today. We are in our series for Cooking 101 and I'm just doing some basic things for very new beginners that are just learning how to cook. If you are an expert at cooking, I hope you will share these videos with your friends that want to learn how to cook. But basically today we're just browning some ground beef. You may have a recipe that calls for browned, crumbled, and drained ground beef. And you say, how do I do that? Well, today I'm going to show you how if you'll stay tuned. Welcome back. So this is what we're going to need. We're just basic ground beef today. Now, normally I would chop up an onion and cook it in my ground beef. I put an onion in just about everything, but if you don't know what you're going to be using it for, a lot of times we will buy a very large chub of ground beef. We'll make some hamburger patties and freeze those, and then the rest of it we'll go ahead and pre-brown the ground beef and freeze it. So when we're ready to make something like a chili or a soup or a casserole that's calling for ground beef, we can just pull it out of the freezer, thaw it out, warm it up a little bit, and it's ready. So today we're just going to be browning this ground chuck, and it is 80% lean with 20% fat. Now there's a whole story in these things, but sorry about that. You can buy ground beef that has more fat content. You can buy ground beef that has less fat content. If you buy ground turkey, there's not a whole lot of fat content in that. And if you buy imitation meat, I'm not sure what's in that. So the more fatty it is, the more you're going to have to drain. The less fatty, the less draining. And I've actually had to add oil to cook it and didn't have to drain it at all. One time I had a grain-fed cow and it's very lean and it was very good. Now if you're cooking deer meat, you would have to add a little fat to that because it's very lean. So depending on what you're cooking, if you know what you're going to be cooking, like you know you're going to be making tacos, you know you're going to need taco seasoning or whatever. But if you don't know what you're going to be using it for, you're just planning ahead, cooking it, I would recommend just adding a little bit of salt. And that helps preserve it and it helps it freeze better. So let's get started. I'm turning my pan on. This has 20% fat in it. Don't turn your pan really high. You can turn it on to get it hot, but don't get it super hot. So a tool, this is a helpful little tool that I have. I bought mine from Pampered Chef. And if you know a Pampered Chef dealer, you know, support your small business owners and buy one from them. But you can buy these in a lot of different stores that sell kitchen supplies. Pampered Chef is a very good quality product, so support your Pampered Chef dealers and buy one from her. Okay, this is heating up. Now, let me talk about draining the fat. As you see here, I have a colander and a bowl. So I'm putting my colander inside my bowl to drain my fat off. Please do not ever drain your meat directly into your sink. You'll be calling a plumber. So don't do that. You can drain it off in a bowl that you can save the grease, dump it out, or if you have a dog or cat, they would love it if you put it on their food. So do not pour it down the sink, put it in a bowl. When it gets cold, it will be hard enough you can scrape it off into the garbage. Or you can put it on some pet food. So, okay, my pan is heating. So I'm just going to open up my ground beef. And I'm just going to dump it in the pan. Be very careful. And I'm going to put that aside. get my pan hot here. And here's this nifty tool. I'm just gonna poke it and twist it. You don't have to have one of these. If you don't, if you have a spatula, you can do it with that. You just chop it up with a spatula. But I just wanted to show you this handy tool. If you plan on cooking a lot and you love the recipes with ground beef, I highly recommend that you get one of these. So as I said, if you have a friend that sells pepper chip, get with your friend. They have a lot of tools that come in very handy. And you can buy some of the same things at places like Bed Bath & Beyond. But anytime you can support a small business, you need to do that, you know. I'm not here right now to sell you pharmacy makeup, but, you know, I am a pharmacy beauty influencer, you know, and I love the makeup. There's lots of other people that sell different brands of makeup. You know, anytime you can support small business, I highly recommend you do that, because they're trying to put food on the table for their family, pay their bills, pay for dance lessons, and you're just helping them out. Okay, so keep your eye on this. This is not something you want to put on and walk away. I mean, you can do a few other things, but stay close by. And this does do a little better on the stove versus this little eye I have here. But make sure if you're using a nonstick pan, do not use metal. Most nonstick pans do not do well with metal. I've not seen one of these in metal, so you could use this in any pan. If you have a Instant Pot or, you know, the electric pressure cooker, it has a saute. You can, you know, cook it in that too. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of, I have some sea salt here. Ground beef really needs it. But like I said, 9 times out of 10 when I'm cooking ground beef, you'll find a chopped onion in here. You can put some seasonings like garlic powder, onion powder, some black pepper. But at the very least, you do want to put some salt in it. And I just used a coarse sea salt. I like the sea salt and the pink Himalaya salt. But I do use table salt too. Just be patient with this. I think I will get a little knife to help me along here, because the meat does kind of get stuck in here. I mean, you can leave it just for a minute or so, but don't walk away. Like if you need to put something in another pot, or, you know, like I'm going to be making chili with this. You know, if I was making it right now, I would just, you know, while this is cooking, put my other ingredients. I make the chili in a slow cooker, so I would just add everything in the slow cooker while this is cooking. But I'm not far from it at all. So just every now and then you need to go in here and chop and stir. Just be patient. You don't want it to cook too high and burn. Also, if you're freezing this, cook it all the way and freeze it. And make sure it's cool before you put it in a freezer bag. You don't want to melt your bag. But if you're going to be cooking it right away in something else that's going to be cooking an additional 2 hours or whatever, like a chili, you can cook it till it's just done. Or if you're putting it in the oven, it's going to cook a little longer. So So allowing it to cook a little bit in your recipe. You're going to be draining the fat off, so you're not adding a lot of fat to your recipe. So I'm going to continue browning this, occasionally chopping and stirring. And then when it's almost done, I'll be right back, okay? Okay, so this is pretty much done. So I'm turning my heat off. So now we've got to drain it. So remember I have the colander, the metal colander. So just be very, very careful. This is hot. I don't know if you can see that. But what you need to do is you just need to kind of let it sit in the colander for a few minutes to get the fat drained off of it. You can either let it cool off, put it on your dog's food or your cat's food. If you don't have any animals, if you want to discard it, it'll get cold and then you can just scrape it off into the garbage. But that's just it. That's simple. Very simple. You just have to have patience and, stay around it. Don't leave it off. Don't let it burn. Don't cook it too high. Cook it high enough where it's going to cook. But it's ready to use in a recipe. It needs to cool off before you freeze it. But you can freeze it after it cools off, or you can put it in a recipe, a casserole, a chili, a soup, what have you. So if you found value in this video, I hope you will give it a thumbs up. And if you want to share it with your friends, I would appreciate that so much. Your support means so much to me. And I hope you will stay tuned for the next video where we'll be discussing more basic cooking tips. So until the next one, God bless.